I'm CK. A little while ago I built a kit, a Synthpunk 555 timer little noisemaker from Mitch Electronics in the UK, and I found it to be a great kit, and also the web page that went with it was very instructive. So I looked at their website and they have a bunch of kits, and I bought them all. So we're going to be doing, over the next year or so, we're going to be doing a lot of Mitch Electronics kits interspersed with other things. And today we're going to start with a micro audio amplifier by mitchelectronics.co.uk. And we'll see how much fun it is, see if we learn anything from it, and see if the documentation that he has on this one is as interesting as on the previous one. And I hope you enjoy the video. So here's today's kit. It's a micro audio amp, version 2.0.0, copyright 2022. This one was built in, packaged in 12/11/2023, so about 6 months ago. And first thing I'm going to do is zap this QR code. Micro audio amp instructions. Okay, good schematic, and he does this, and this is really nice. There's a block diagram of input, variable amplifier, and the output section, and tells you how it actually works. Component list, and now what you can do with it. Tips on construction, and interesting. Doesn't actually have step-by-step instructions this time, which is okay, I think. As we look at the kit itself, we'll figure out whether that's really okay or not. So let me get this soldering pad out of the way, get a parts bin up, and see what kind of things are inside the bag. Let's see if we can pull this open, and it doesn't have a pull tab, so I'm not even going to try, because I can look foolish on camera a lot of other ways besides trying to open a bag. Dump everything out. There shouldn't be a whole lot. There isn't a whole lot. Got a potentiometer, 100K audio ramp. And we've got a little IC. What is this? This is a LM358A. Don't quite know what that is. Let's see what the parts list says. Oh, it's a dual op amp. Let's look at the circuit board while we have it all up here. And again, this is good quality stuff. For the price of these things, this is very good quality. So we've got audio in, ground, VCC and ground, so that's power in. Then we've got some diodes, some resistors, the op amp, resistor, transistor, couple of caps, and some output leads, which will go to, and again, this board is really nice. You can see the traces really well, so if you want to follow along from the schematic to the traces, you're going to be able to do that very well. And all the component holes are through hole plated to make good secure contacts, so that's really nice. A couple of beefy kind of caps for this size project, 100 microfarad, 16 volt. Socket for the chip. One transistor, two transistor, they should be different, I think they are. It's a 3904 and a 3906. Couple of resistors, maybe 6, 8 of them, I don't know. Diode, they should be 4148s. Let me see. Yep. And a cheesy little speaker. 8 ohm, 1 watt, yeah. We may try to blow that up later just for fun. So that's the components. Not a lot to it, but again, you can learn a lot from this. And no, it does not have step-by-step instructions, so we'll just do it based on the component list here, because it's got PCB reference for all the componentry. Oops, and we flipped away from the web page for some unknowable reason why. And we can follow, again, when we get done, we can follow along with the schematic. And we're going to say no to cookies, because we don't want cookies from a website like this. We don't need them. So that's the components and the web page, which is as important in this case as the components. So I'll get the soldering iron heated up and we'll put this thing together. As soon as I turned the cameras off, my noisy water heater cut in. So I spent that time sorting out resistors into the right places, and then I stripped a little bit off each of the wires and tinned the ends so they don't fray. Tinned almost all the ends. Looks like I didn't get that one, but that's okay. So we'll start with the resistors, and we've got 6 1Ks, and he has the color bands marked. If you don't have them memorized yet, he's got the color bands marked on the instruction sheet. So we'll start with R1 just to get a sense for how these go in and get the cat hair out of it. Okay, you got to press the leads pretty much all the way against the side of the body. Now we'll do one live. Come on, cat hair. We'll do one live to see how this board takes solder. I think it'll take solder very well. Oh yes. Let it dwell a little bit, and you can see that it flows all the way through the through-hole plating, so you got a good solid connection that will also resist corrosion. So the rest of the resistors are pretty much the same thing. So I'll put the cameras in, or the video in fast playback, and all the resistors will fly on the board, so enjoy resistor time. And that's the end of a very short resistor time today. Even though I got this one resistor up more than I thought. There are two that are a little, the bodies are a little broader, longer. These two are a little longer than the other ones, so you gotta get the leads very close in. Now, we'll put our 4148 diodes on, and there's a black stripe on the glass cylinder, and that goes with the white stripe on the circuit board. So you know how to get your polarity right. And as always, if you start up a product with diodes on it and it does not work, the first thing you check is you check to make sure you got the diodes in the correct way. Because no matter how long you've been doing this, there's always a chance you'll miss it. And if you do, you'll be sad. Now we'll put the socket in. We'll rest it on the... Oh, it bounces very nicely, so I don't have to worry about it being flat. I don't have to push on it. I can just solder it in place without any muss or fuss. Oh, and one thing you'll notice is he included in the board design some 4 nice holes to mount it on something if you want to. And you'll notice I matched the notch on the socket with the notch outline on the circuit board. Now we'll do the two transistors, one NPN and one PNP. This one is the 3906, that's the PNP, and that goes in Q2. So we'll spread the middle pin back a little bit. Make sure the flat side matches the flat side of the outline printed on the circuit board. Now we'll do the NPN. And I'm just, even though it's the only transistor left, I did also double check the part number just because things happen, you know? I'll go ahead and solder those. Won't trim them quite yet. Now we'll put the capacitors on. And I cut them free of the tape instead of trying to pull them out of the tape, because I usually mangle leads if I do that. That also means that I've taken away the long lead short lead difference, so we rely on the stripe and the negative sign to go with the shaded side of the print on the circuit board to make sure we've got our polarity correct. Now we'll put the potentiometer on, and it says pot points this way, in other words, yonder. And this one I am going to put it kind of, however, to start, not trying to get it completely perpendicular to the board. I'll just solder the middle pin. Now I'll hold it with my index finger and reheat that solder. Let it cool. It's almost perpendicular. It's perpendicular enough. I'll have a brief pause here, or jump here, while I recycle the cameras. For some reason, Nikon thinks you only want to do 29 minutes and 59 seconds of video before it automatically turns off, which I think is kind of dumb, but I like the cameras, so I have to put up with it. So let's put the wires in, and as I said, I've already tinned them, soldered the ends a little bit so they don't fray as I put them through. Put those two in first. I'm going to solder these as I go so they don't flop around, so I don't flop them around and have them come back out again. Now he has specific color to color places. What does he say for audio in? Oh, he wants green for audio in. I don't have a particular preference as long as I can see the writing on the board, but I may as well do it the way he suggests, because if I don't have a reason not to, may as well do it the way the author suggests. And I got a little too much solder on that one when I tinned it. And the green wire, of course, jumped out while I was doing that. And no, I have not put the op amp in the socket yet. I'm going to wait until I finish all my soldering before I put the chip in. Now we've got these two wires, and what does he want? Blue wire will be ground out, and red wire will be audio out. So the wires are all soldered in place. Let me trim those. Now I'm going to connect to the speaker, and what I'm going to be doing is, oh, that's interesting, wires are a little going the wrong way. The positive side goes here, so I'll put the wire on top of that little solder pad there, heat it up, let it sink in. Even though there's not a lot of solder on there, I'm going to enhance it a little bit. And of course it bounced out, but that's okay, I was expecting that. So we'll just heat it up, let it sit in, take the iron away and wait for it to cool. That's good. And this time I'll just put more solder in before I even put the wire on the first time. Just make a nice little hump. And when you're doing this, just be patient and let the solder cool. I have many times in my life moved the wire before the solder got cool, and of course I had to do it again. Now there's one pin bent on this op amp, so I'll use my needle nose to get everything parallel again. Bend them in a little, inward a little bit so they go into the socket well. Make sure the notch matches the notch on the socket and the silk screening on the board. Press it home firmly. If you're doing this at home, you might want to put the pot on after you get that socket in. I don't know what is going on with my water pump. You can hear the humming in the background. Okay, so there's that. Let me go get an audio source. Okay, we're all set up. And interesting, the build guide doesn't list the product voltage input, but the product page, which is right before where you buy the thing, does. It says it's intended to use a 9-volt battery. So I have my little benchtop power supply set for 8.6, that's close enough to 9. And I've got my little frequency generator here. And let's fire something off. There we go. Makes a little... It's doing a little amplification, not a lot. If I turn the pot down, it drops way down. I will say the level output from this oscillator is very low, so I'm not surprised it doesn't pump it up too much. But that's it. Let me turn that off so I don't run my battery down on this generator, because I often forget that. So that's what it does. Again, a great schematic. Relatively easy build, nothing too challenging about it. And a good introduction to audio amplification from Mitch Electronics. We'll do another one of the kits in the next week or two. Again, I don't want to do all 30 at once in a row, because that would be not fun for anybody. But that's the deal, and it's a good little kit. And I hope you enjoyed the video.